Oli Sail, Unused Subs, 50-50 on being here.
50-50. Surely it's got a stronger odds than that, man. No, that's disappointing. Yes, we will get to All Whites goalkeeper Ollie Sail in a matter of moments, but this time next week, the All Whites should have booked their ticket to the FIFA World Cup of 2026 across Canada, United States, and Mexico. They should book their ticket, right?
Touch wood. Where is it? This is fake paneling. Where's the wood? Yep.
I'm nowhere near
Where's
any
the
wood.
He's going to be here.
He's going to be out front. To do something a little bit different and to basically put our reputations on the line, let's pick Darren Bazley's starting 11 as they go into these encounters against Fiji and then one of New Caledonia or Tahiti in the final on Monday next week.
Do you know how hard this has been?
Hard?
There's not a clear... I don't even think there's a clear squad, let alone a starting 11, because it is so competitive at the moment.
There are a number of guys who can book their ticket. Guys like Chris Wood, guys like Libby Kakache, right?
Yes, that's a given.
They are a formality for Darren Bazley. But yeah, I think to your point, there is incredible depth across the All Whites at the moment.
No Ben Old, no Finn Sermon, Ryan Thomas, Andre de Jong scoring goals in South Africa, James McGarry has moved from Scotland to Greece, Nick Zanev is back starting for Northampton, Bill Tuiloma, Sam Sutton, Alex Grieve, Max Mata. These are players that were used by Danny Hay and then Darren Bazley. They're not even here. They're not going to participate in this window. That's almost a starting 11.
On your lovely little whiteboard here, Jacob.
I'm so nervous about the handwriting.
I will judge you, and the people of New Zealand and indeed planet Earth will judge you on how legible your handwriting is. First of all, though, you've got 11 X's. I've counted. They're all there, present and accounted for. The formation...
Of differing size, I've got to say.
the formation I'm picking with a striker at the bottom and a goalkeeper at the top.
Yes.
What are we going with here? What's Darren Bazley going to go with in the first match, the semi-final against Fiji?
What we've seen from Darren as he set out this team over the last couple of windows, and it's been effective, is a back four with a double pivot, and then you've effectively got a front four.
Double pivot meaning two defensive holding midfielders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've effectively got a front four with Woodsy leading the line and a creative player in behind at times. But we have seen almost like a second deep line striker. Matt Garbutt's been employed here. Marko Stamenic played against the USA here. So there is a little bit of variation. There are some wrinkles that can be employed within the system. But I think we'll primarily see this sort of structure.
In our 4-3-3, who is our goalkeeper? And this is tough because you are a former goalkeeper and there are so many top quality goalkeepers in our ranks right now.
Yes.
Who do you, or more importantly, who will Darren Bazley pick to start in goal?
Well, Ollie Sail's in the squad. Unfortunately, because of his club circumstance and form, I don't think he's in the conversation. Alex Paulson definitely is. Alex Paulson, for me, is the best goalkeeper in the A-League this year, having been the best keeper last year.
Well, not every A-League goalkeeper gets a deal with Bournemouth in the English Premier League and then comes back and on loan. He's part of the league leaders, Auckland FC. In 20 games, he's only conceded 20 goals. So he's doing everything possible, everything in his power to claim that spot. But what are we saying? He doesn't?
Max Crocombe has been preferred in the big fixtures. I think AP's only played 1 or 2 games. I think he might have only just made his debut recently, played against Samoa.
Yep.
Is that enough at international level to justify selection? And that sounds harsh. I've just heard myself say it. I think the tendency for Max means that in games of this importance, he will get the nod.
Put his name up.
God.
Let's judge the handwriting.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. What does that say? I'm assuming that says Crocombe.
I've forgotten about spelling as well, so I almost misspelled that. I think Max gets given the gloves to go on goal.
Okay.
Now, can we go to the easy ones in this back line, please?
The easy ones being Libby Kakache on the left.
Yes.
And Michael Boxall in the central defensive position.
Yes.
Those are locks for me. Also, on the right-hand side, what we've seen recently, I think Tim Payne wasn't available for the November window. We saw Storm Roux play against Vanuatu and Samoa.
And Malaysia, I think, as well, did well.
Yeah, did very well. But Tim Payne, I think, is the preferred right-back option, even though he hasn't been playing a lot of right-back at the Wellington Phoenix for the moment.
Yeah, where's he popped up? Attacking midfielder at times?
He's been everywhere. He's been in central midfield as well. But I do believe that Tim Payne gets the nod on the right-hand side. You agree? You've put his name down?
I think Payne's been a regular, both under Danny Hay and Darren Baisley, known quantity. I think, unfortunately, as well, Storm didn't start in the weekend for the Mariners against Auckland. So that might be enough to edge it, and these are the fine margins we're talking about.
Let's go to Michael Boxall's partner now, because there are options. Tommy Smith, who I think by his own admission on Episode 1, Season 1 of the Unused Subs, he's more of a squad member now.
Senior statesman.
Yeah, he's trying to bring through those younger guys. And we've got younger guys, even though Finn Sermon isn't there.
Nando Peinecker has put forward a case to being one of the best centre-backs in the A-League.
Yeah.
Or
there you go with the young gun, mate.
Yeah, this rascal that's like disrupting things, Tyler Bindon.
And he's a goal scorer as well, a proven goal scorer. So I'll leave it up to you, your expertise. You are New Zealand's leading authority when it comes to football analysis.
Don't do this.
Who goes next to Boxy?
Nando.
Nando Peinecker gets the nod. It's a contentious one for me, because Tyler Bindon has all the
That was the worst angle so far, by the way.
Yeah, you did well. We can see that it's Peinecker and not Bindon. Bindon, there's huge upswing for him.
Yes.
And look, even though he may miss out on these qualifiers as a starter, in a year from now, 15 months from now, when they're at the World Cup, I don't know if there's a spot in the starting 11 for Nando.
Mate, honestly, good luck picking these two positions. It was a headache the last time the All Whites tried to qualify for the World Cup. Winston Reid, Bill Tuiloma, Michael Boxall. Now we've got 2 or 3 deep, and you could legitimately say that they can start for the All Whites.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our defensive midfielders now. And I feel like Marko Stamenic is another one of those locks. You can chuck him in the mix with Kakache and Wood. He has to be in the mix.
Yes.
Who is alongside him is an interesting one, because we've got Joe Bell and Alex Rufer. Roofs, he's been out through sickness, and I heard Giancarlo Italiano after the draw with Sydney FC at the weekend say that they were unable to diagnose him properly, and he played while sick at the start of the season, so he hasn't been able to give a true account of himself. He's been sick, he's been down on match fitness, but boy did he play well against Sydney FC in that 1-1 draw. Who do we have partnering Marko Stamenic? Is it Bell? Is it Rufer?
Alex has been sick. Got to take into account match loading. Also, Alex has played really well against sides that are arguably above the All Whites. He's been a great disruptor, and he's formed a decent partnership with Marko. Here, though, I think Joe Bell gets the nod, because we want to move the ball quickly and we want to have a range of passes. Not saying Alex can't do that, just get the feeling that Joe Bell might be best suited to take on Fiji.
Put him in there then. Stamenic and Bell, defensive midfielders up against Fiji, and then the pointy end of that midfield trifecta.
We haven't even put the captain on.
No, I know, but you put him in last. It's kind of like the big reveal. We finally put our man from Nottingham Forest who scores goals for fun.
Should we get into the easier of the 3?
I think so, yeah.
Sarpreet Singh started again in the Portugal second division. I'm not going to try and pronounce his team's name.
Don't bother.
A Sarpreet that's playing close to his ceiling is a player that's not afraid of the spotlight, and is somebody, when he's playing better, the team plays better. He can amplify this all-white side. So, yes, club football perhaps isn't where he wants it to be at the moment, but we need to give him minutes, combining with Chris Wood, Stamenic, Rufer, Bell, whoever's going to occupy these narrow forward positions.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, because we know that Woodsy's going to lead the line, but who's going to be either side of him in that front 3? Go on, put something.
This one, I still have no idea.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about it, but this one I think is clear.
Chuck it on. We're going with Elijah Just. Now that's fascinating for me, because there's obviously no Ben Old through injury, so it opens up a spot. We've gone with Just ahead of Matt Garbett. And Garbett is one of these guys, you can chuck him in anywhere and he does a wonderful job. And if you popped him on the left, he'd be out there, he'd be in the middle. Yeah, he could be a defensive midfielder, as you point out there. But why can't we pick Matt Garbett?
Lack of football at the moment. Definitely somebody that is deserving of a spot. An ambitious player, will play at least equivalent to Eredivisie or higher in the next couple of years. But at the moment, hasn't played in something like 2.5 months.
Yeah, okay.
Understand that there is a discussion around his contract. Maybe he wants to move on. Regardless, you don't want to put him in a situation where he goes from playing no football into a real pressure cooker situation, albeit OFC qualifying, but there's going to be a lot of emotion on the field. Equally, someone that can impact the game off the bench. However, let's chat about this man. When the All Whites played the Socceroos in what in my mind is one of their best games a couple of years ago at Suncorp in Brisbane, Eli ran the game. He was playing a number 10 role. He was drifting out to the left. Honestly, Graham Arnold was fixated on what he was doing and how his team weren't coping with Eli Just. Regularly pops up with assists, is scoring goals in the Austrian second division at the moment. Another player that is destined for higher levels and greater things.
I also like the combination Just and Kakache overlapping. They work in tandem quite nicely, and if you can partner them with Bell or maybe Stamenic drifts across as well, that is a really nice trio to have down the All Whites left-hand side.
Under 17s and under 20s played a lot of football together. Regular assists through this combination, also goals.
Let's figure out the right-hand side, because in my opinion,
I've got no idea.
You've got, oh man, there's a whole host actually. You can make arguments for Logan Rogerson, who scored 7 for Auckland FC. Costa Barbarouses, he might be 35 years of age, but he scored 8 for the Wellington Phoenix.
21 goals in the last 2 years.
Yep, so you got Costa Barbarouses, you got Callum McCowett. Is there anybody else that you'd throw in the mix?
I think those are the three that we're looking at.
So
Because we've already talked about Matt Garbutt, right?
Yeah.
He can also play here, but I think the conversation is between those three.
So it's McCowett, it's Rogerson, it's Barbarouses, but we have picked
McCowett. Yeah.
McCowett gets the nod.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, please do, because people will say, well, look, guys like Costa Barbarouses and Logan Rogerson have been performing in front of our eyes. It makes it very easy for Darren Baisley to say, oh, well, look, I turn up to Mount Smart Stadium and I see Logan Rogerson scores 7. And I chuck on the TV and Costa Barbarouses has bagged his 8th goal. Why is McCowett the guy on the right?
Darren could go one of two ways in my mind. He could either try and go for width with these positions, or he could narrow them off. And the reason why I like the latter is you're going to come up against a Fijian side that is going to sit in 2 banks of 4. And there's going to be very little space in and amongst those 2 banks of 4, and it's going to be very congested centrally. What I think you want to do is lean into that. Put your technical players that like playing in pockets, like playing in half spaces there. And their job is going to be occupying that space. So what I actually think we're going to see is these guys narrow off and almost become secondary strikers under Woodsy. What that's going to allow is the engines to be deployed.
Bombing on. Yeah, which is where Libby and Tim Payne are so effective.
The thoroughbreds are going to be released. And what we're going to say, and this is why I've got Nando here. So if Payne's bombing on, you've pinched in, which is narrowed off the fullback, you could hit a diagonal. And once the ball is into these wide areas, Libby does the same. The delivery from these 2 players is arguably the best in the team. Who then are you aiming for? Who is the guy that has scored 18 goals in 39 games this season, is up there with Erling Haaland, Mo Salah, is a big body and wants to score goals?
It must be Chris Wood.
Give me Wood.
Well, you've got it. And we've got it up front. And what a luxury to be afforded this all-white side. A guy who is near the top of the charts when it comes to goal scoring in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest are, what are they, 3rd at the moment? It's honestly...
Champions League football is like right there.
Yeah,
you can reach out and touch it.
That's right. He could taste it. So to have a guy that's, look, let's say it, he's in the form of his life. He's as high up the pyramid as he's ever been in terms of English football. And to have that guy leading the line, I feel so comfortable about what we might achieve. And look, against Fiji, people will say, oh, Fiji, they've got Roy Krishna up top. No, they don't. Because back in December, he hurt his right knee. He's got an ACL injury. He's out for 6 to 9 months. So without Roy Krishna, they've only got one professional footballer, and that's Scott Wara, who plays for Stafford Rangers in the 7th tier of English football. He's their one guy. The only thing that I would suggest that could unpick the All Whites is complacency. But I think this is a group of men that have their feet firmly planted on the ground. That won't happen in Wellington or in Auckland. And World Cup qualification should be assured for us.
Complacency and frustration. If they don't score early, I can see what we understand to be quite a large crowd, nearing 20,000 already sold in Wellington. That noise could turn into expectation, and it's about managing the moment. To your point, though, this team is going to, I think, go through the gears really quickly. They're going to want to move the ball fast. They're going to want to try and draw out Fiji, give themselves space, and to the point with the fullbacks, create those options. So what I hope we're going to see is exciting football, goals for Wellington to enjoy, and then it's all about Auckland turning up. It's pack out Eden Park, mate.
Yep, and then in 7 days from now, we're on our way to the World Cup. How good?
Amazing. And then Bays has got a whole different headache to deal with if we are on the plane to the World Cup, because there is a huge carrot now for everyone in the All Whites conversation over the course of the next 18 odd months, 12 odd months.
We haven't picked him in goal. Do you think Ollie Sail is still going to answer the call? I hope so.
Thank you very much for being here. Can you tell us where you're speaking to us from?
I am currently in the Sydney Domestic Airport Qantas Lounge.
How early is it?
It is 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but 7 o'clock Sydney time, and you're based in Perth, so Perth time, and you're acclimatised to that. What is it in Perth right now?
3 a.m.?
4 a.m., yeah.
Yeah, so you are absolutely fried right now.
Yeah, the morning after the games are pretty rough because you don't get to sleep till like 2, 3 o'clock at the earliest, and then you're up a couple hours later, so pretty rough.
Do you reckon you've had the most extreme A-League experience going from Wellington to Perth?
I don't know what I was thinking there, right? I had the second toughest route, and then I chose the toughest just to really get the full experience.
Yeah, you're a sucker for punishment, man.
Exactly
What's wrong with
right.
you? What's wrong with you goalkeepers?
Oh, mate.
A few things, I think.
The normal chat is very strange, Ollie.
Oh, yeah.
It's
there's
weird.
There's a few wrong-uns in the goalkeeping union.
Case in point.
Yeah.
He's not got eye contact on the screen at the moment.
Well, who is the most crook goalkeeper you guys have come across?
I don't know about crook, but Stef Marinovic was certainly a character.
Yeah.
He was a character. There was nothing wrong with him. He was just one of a kind. But I think like Mossy was kind of my first introduction really to a top level professional goalkeeper, and he was nicknamed Normal because he was just so
chill.
Yeah, he was one of everyone else. He wasn't really a classic goalkeeper.
Exception to the rule, you might say.
Exactly right.
The other thing is, Ollie, the coaches. So you've had Gouldy, Goffey. You've still got Savo at the moment?
Yeah.
Danny Milosevic for those at home. Goalkeeper coaches are also pretty weird beasts, mate. Let's be frank about it. Like they're either hyper, like energetic, or they are gruff as fuck, or they are just melancholy and like they don't want any of that. So have I kind of summarised it well there, Ollie?
Oh, spot on. I think Goffey fits into the category of the first one you mentioned. Like what he brings to the group, energy levels, and as a character, he's just like a giant child. And he's amazing for every group. And then Gouldy, it just depends what side of the bed he wakes up on. He can be all three. he can be all three in one day, actually. So,
bit of split personality going on.
Yeah, so it takes a special breed to be a goalkeeper, and it takes an even more special breed to be a goalkeeper coach, I think.
It was one of the saddest days of my life that you departed the Wellington Phoenix, Ollie, because I used to love our post-game chats. And then when you departed, you left me with Alex Rufer. So thank you so much for that, mate. Oh, like trying to get blood from a stone, man.
Yeah, you went from one extreme to the other there, didn't you? I enjoyed our post-match chats too. But yeah, you got to remember Rufer's from Palmy, so...
Is there somebody else who I know from Palmerston North? Yeah.
He's probably still amazed by all the bright lights and the cameras in his face.
Oh, man.
Ollie, season so far, mate, been well documented, the challenges you've had, but for you personally, it seems to have been one extreme to another as well. You played brilliantly at times. I mean, go back to last week against Sydney.
The double save, man.
The save was incredible, mate. And then other times, been some missteps, been some stumbles, a little bit of wobbles. How difficult is it managing that volatility, mate? Like, just for you and yourself. Like, I'm not thinking about the team here. I'm just putting my goalkeeper's hat on. I mean, you'd be stoked one week, and then the next week you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's been difficult. It's been really difficult. It's not something I've really experienced before. I think I had a lot of consistency at Wellington for a long period of time, and that was something that obviously I was really proud of. And it's just kind of not really flowed very well for me here. It was for many reasons. There was in and out of the team. At times over both the course of these two seasons, some footballing reasons, some not footballing reasons. And yeah, so it's just, yeah, the consistency hasn't been there really in many aspects of my whole footballing journey at Perth Glory. So the performances have kind of matched that at times. But yeah, like you said, like I think I've actually played really well in large majority of my time here. Um, it's just I don't know. I love our fan base to death here, but they're extremely reactive for good and for bad. They love you one week, sometimes over the top, so, and then the next week they can't stand the sight of you.
You'd
And I
have a good
understand.
grounding in that, mate, with the
Yeah,
Croatians at Kiwi TSG, mate. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But no, look, I love that side of football, and it's been a challenge for myself as a character over the last couple of years, but one I'm pretty happy to have experienced as well. Maybe not for my footballing journey, but for my character building. It's been good fun.
Mate, I get asked it quite a bit, particularly by some of the Aussies. And, being a Kiwi goalkeeper, they come to me for insight. The one thing that I always say to them is that in your situation, with the huge change in the club, behind the scenes, the ownership, new coaches coming in, some signings that haven't worked out, I'm looking at you and I'm seeing, based on your character, your sense of responsibility stepping up and trying to be proactive in the development of the team in largely what is a very reactive position. Am I lying? Am I doing you a disservice? Because I think that's where you've perhaps stretched a bit thin at times. Is that a good way to summarize things?
Absolutely. I think one of the bits that frustrated me early on in my time here is I think I was a little bit misunderstood as a character in terms of I kind of do bring that leadership characteristic, and I want to not only just offer my footballing skills, but offer other skills as well, and bring that character to the group, and that probably wasn't tapped into, or hasn't been tapped into as much as I would have liked. And yeah, I think, like you said, it's sometimes you get a little bit carried away, or I get a little bit focused on those sorts of things as well. With so many moving parts and so many changes and so much instability over the last couple of years, I've kind of, I guess, got distracted by that as well at times, and not really focused completely just on going out there and doing my job as well sometimes. So it's yeah, it's finding a balance for
I
sure.
think distracted's a hard word, mate. I'd say you kind of seen the need to step up and attempt to do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's been a
something
bit
that,
like that.
yeah, something I've definitely witnessed, mate. So that's a great insight.
How satisfied are you with your football journey to this point, Ollie? Because when I cast my mind back to what would it have been in the lead into the 2022
COVID screwed
FIFA
everything
World
up, mate.
Cup,
Yeah.
right? You're flying high. You've managed to usurp the wild and wonderful Stefan Marinovic from not only the Wellington Phoenix goalkeeper spot, but
I
also
love it how
the
you're
All
not
Whites.
taking any responsibility for the Croatian element that he's touched on there as well.
That's fine. Look, I'm not as weird as Stefan. I think I'm pretty I'm straight down the line.
Sure.
Anyway,
yeah, keep going.
the point I'm trying to make is you were on this sort of upward trajectory, and then before the Intercontinental playoff, there's the howler against Peru. Then the failure to qualify for the World Cup means you can't put your wares on the great world stage that is the World Cup. And there was all this talk around where you were going to wind up, somewhere in Europe, and then the departure from the Phoenix isn't to a European destination, it's to Perth. So can you talk us through that period and what actually occurred to lead you to West Australia and not somewhere in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, it was like you said, it was seemed like it was all happening really quickly, and things were going really well. And like you said, my career as a whole was on an upward trajectory, and things looked really exciting. And I believe they still are. I've just taken a slightly different route, and I've had a few bumps along the way. But that whole a move to Europe was a lot closer than I think people realize, and probably looking back on it as well, having things like that so close and to be in a position where I was adamant it was going to happen, and a few obstacles just couldn't be cleared. I guess probably looking back on it, that probably had more of an impact than what I thought. I just kind of brushed it off at the time, but I think possibly affected me more than I thought. But
were they in your control or out of your control, Ollie? Because I think we don't have to get into the details around it, but can you give people an indication as to what the impacts were? Because I think I know what you're talking about, and it would be good just to give people an insight as to the moving parts that have to align for a situation like this to be positive.
A lot of moving parts, and things that were out of my control as well. There was so much interest on the back of the COVID years, and then my progress into the national team, and that one of the most difficult things we encountered was the visas, with me not having any European connection, obviously. But that didn't seem like it was going to be a problem. But yeah, there was just some agreements and decisions made that didn't quite fall into place. Some which are probably best not to speak about. But I still thought it was going to happen, and a large part of my decision making in terms of coming out west was out of the A-League clubs that had approached me and were interested, they were going to be more accommodating to a Europe stepping stone kind of move in a way, and yeah, they were more open to allowing that to happen. So that was ultimately probably the biggest factor in my decision making to come to Perth.
Thank you for that, mate. One thing that I do want to touch on, just away from the football field, is your upbringing, and probably touching on two key parts to this, which is the fact that you're one of 5
Correct.
boys.
Yeah.
5. That sounds like mayhem growing up.
Yeah.
Everyone says that, but if you ask my mother, Pip, she'll just tell you that all she did was keep us fed, and then when the fights broke out, because it was always physical, she just steered clear and let it simmer down on its own, and there was no problems.
Wow.
So in that 5, mate.
I just can't believe that. I just can't believe it.
In the 5, Ollie, have you got another 2, or is it just one professional sportsman?
One rugby player, my brother younger than me, Tim. He's played professional rugby, and then the rest.
For who, mate?
He's played for Tasman, North Harbour. Yeah, I think that's it. Just those 2.
Just under the Super Rugby threshold.
Yeah.
So Nick just thinks that he's a professional golfer, mate. Is that
correct? Nick is jack of all trades, master of none. He was fantastic at everything he did, and growing up, he was ambidextrous. He used to play tennis with 2 forehands, and if he had a bad round of golf playing right-handed, he would swap them out and play left-handed the next time. So yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, and I love chatting to your mum. That's where the forthright nature of Ollie comes from. Pip's a force of nature, mate. She's such a good value.
Certainly does.
She had to manage the food budget though, Ollie, and she's told me, I think around about 15 years ago, she was spending close to $900 on food to keep you 5 fed. That is astronomical.
Imagine
that
today. Imagine the grocery prices today. It'd be crazy. I don't know how they manage.
So she's a full-time physio. She's running 2-3 clinics, and then she's feeding you 5. Is that
correct? Yeah, she opened
goes?
a physio clinic in 2010. So yeah, it was a madhouse, and she very impressive woman. She works. She still does. She loves it. She won't walk away from it. She should be. She could if she wanted, but she really doesn't. So she works crazy hours and just absolutely loves it. So yeah, she's got my work ethic from her, no doubt.
Yeah. Oh, hats off to all the mums and dads out there, like doing it tough, getting around the sports fields. I mean, imagine that, like 5 kids all playing sport. I'm assuming all of them playing sport, Ollie.
Yeah.
And you know, at different times and maybe different venues around the city. And
Tony Sail's coaching Auckland cricket as well.
Okay,
so
there's
it's basically a one-woman band, right? Ollie?
Pretty much. That's exactly.
How the hell
right.
did you even get around to all these places to play the sports?
Oh, who knows, mate? I can't even remember. I used to go from the rugby ground in the morning to the football ground in the mid to late morning. So we were playing multiple sports as well. So there was 5 of us playing multiple sports. So yeah, it was just crazy.
Madness. But I suppose
That's why they shipped him down to Wellington at 16, mate.
Yeah.
Get him off the
Exactly.
books.
But with that number of siblings, I suppose that's where the competitive nature and the desire to succeed comes from, right? Because you're fighting and scrapping for every morsel coming off the dinner table of an evening, and maybe that sets you up for a career as a professional sports person.
Absolutely, spot on. You're not wrong.
Worst
there.
injury in the backyard, mate. What happened there? Come on, someone's got to run into a fence or something like that. Is there a tree involved?
I broke Tim's nose with a golf club when he was
Intentionally?
Young. No, I don't think it was intentionally.
Sounds as though it was.
Nick. Oh, I saw some. The injuries weren't so severe, but I did see some epic fights. There was hammers, bricks, oil fin heaters, everything thrown.
What?
Yeah, there was some epic fights. Our walls downstairs.
Over what? Like PlayStation? Like what's happening here?
We didn't own a PlayStation growing up. We weren't gamers. None of us ever gamed or anything like that. We were just outside playing rugby or whatever we get our hands on. But yeah, the way our house was set up was that all the boys' rooms were downstairs. Kind of all conjoined.
Segregation, yeah. Keep the adults from the savages, mate.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah.
And they had that soft jib wall, and we used to go through them. So there was just body shaped size pieces of plaster all over the walls, because once we went through them, it was up
Sounds like a Japanese game show, mate.
It was up to us to fix them ourselves. So there was just body-sized pieces of plastering all over the walls downstairs, because it was, if you break it, you fix it. So yeah, we used to go through the walls.
Are you jibbing the walls?
Yeah, we had because we had
10-year-old
really bright
Ollie?
coloured rooms, and there was just squares of white and grey jib all covering it, because we broke it, so we fixed it.
Well, this explains a lot, because I want to talk to you about your season with the Wellington Phoenix, where every match ended with a fight. There was the game against Central Coast Mariners where I think was it Triantis ripped your shirt off. Yeah. Then there was another match with Marcelo, and you tried to smooch him.
Yeah, you were going up a weight class there, mate.
There was just all this aggression. What was going on, man? Like what was happening in those moments? Were you having flashbacks to the Sail household in the backyard and throwing people through jib walls, or what?
Yeah, it must have been a bit of that. I don't know. There's a bit of sour reputation from footballers that they love to throw a few handbags or get stuck in, but never really follow through. And when the next boys got a little bit of a sniff of it, it was just a thing that happened. It was one and all, and then we just loved it. And it was a way of keeping us in the game as well, because you know what the Auckland have been so dominant this year, but you know what it's been like for Wellington, trying to fight tooth and nail just for a leg up in the comp for so long, and you always felt disrespected, so you always had a bit of a chip on your shoulder playing the Aussie teams. And yeah, it was a couple of years there where we were quite successful and relatively successful, and people didn't like it, so it rubbed people up the wrong way. And yeah, we just made sure that when people gave it, they were getting it back twice as good, and for the first time in a while, teams didn't really seem to enjoy that.
In the case of the Marcelo coming together, I really feel like you've been stitched up by one of those freeze frame shots.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's, you guys didn't spend a long time with your lips together, but that's the picture that everybody sees, right?
I haven't seen this.
Come on, mate.
I've only seen the foreheads.
Where have you
together.
been? No. Like,
Get this up. Where is it? Yeah.
Honestly, Google it now while we're talking about it. You'll find it straight away. What was the issue there with Marcelo?
He was already fired up right at the end of the game, and I'm not sure what that caused, but it was just a respect thing. He didn't want to shake our hands, and it had been a really good hard fought battle, and he just didn't want to shake our hands afterwards.
It looks
he's
intimate,
found it.
Ollie. I found it.
It's
I found
quality.
it.
Eh? There's very
It's a
very
rom-com,
little
mate. It's a
separation
rom-com.
between faces there.
There is no separation that you are pressed together. But I mean, Marcelo, like I think was it a year or so back, Wellington Phoenix, they won very late at Sky Stadium, a couple of goals late in the piece, and Marcelo was fuming. And I mean, we all know what the obligations are of the teams after the game. You have someone from both sides.
Yes, usually the captain.
Captain's chats, right? The Wellington Phoenix, no issue. They've just won the game. Of course, I'm going to talk to their skipper. Marcelo, he's like scarpering off towards the tunnel at Sky Stadium. And I thought, nah, I'm not having this.
So you and half your hamstring
and
are
so,
after him.
I'm trotting off after him, Ollie. I'm waving around the microphone. I'm like, Marcelo! And he just looks at me. And then straight away, I was like, oh, I'm never going to see this guy again. So I may as well give it a shot, right?
You should have asked Ollie. Accountability by Ollie, mate.
Ollie was at Perth, mate.
The thing about Marcelo is he's just got that fiery...
I'm going to get on the phone and call Ollie in Perth, am I? Ollie, can you help?
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Every
time I saw him after that, he seemed to get bigger. So I'm glad I got him early in his Australian tenure, maybe before he hit the Australian strength and conditioning program. Yeah. Nah, he's a lovely man off the pitch. He's just a fiery competitor, South American. He's just got that real fire in him. But yeah, lovely man off the pitch.
What about Triantis, mate? What happened there?
That one was a one that actually annoyed me even more because we'd just absolutely bopped them at home, and it obviously let out some frustrations. And the final whistle went, and I just kind of launched the ball. I had the ball in my hands when the final whistle went, and then I've just kind of as the final whistles went, just launched it into the air, kind of in celebration. And he's gone to like charge it down basically.
Yeah, block it basically with his foot, right?
But he kicked me in the hand. And I've got a photo from the next day, and it was proper blown up and black and blue and swollen. And so I've just gone after him. And last minute, I've kind of realised that this is probably not a good idea and I'm going to get red carded. So I dropped the arms and just hit him with a classic Sonny Bill Williams shoulder in the chest and floored him. And it just kicked off and all in. But
shirt's gone.
Yeah, I to be honest, in the moment, I thought I'm probably going to see red for that. But do you know what saved me? I think that the cameras, there was no good camera views. There was no good camera angles of the incident. So I think I got saved a little bit by the broadcast team.
Yeah, got to blame our mate Blair Dainty, who would have been operating that one at the time,
yeah,
mate.
Blair's done you a service there, mate. Yeah. Don't worry, can't see it, lads. Yeah,
exactly. I was very happy with that. But yeah, got away with one, I think.
Hey, Ollie, he'll be in the Sky Sports office somewhere chuckling away at the moment. He'll be loving that. Yeah. He saved Ollie Sail a red card, mate. But just to round that off, mate, it's filthy behaviour though, because that's actual danger stations.
That was a good couple of seconds after the final whistle too. Yeah, but look, to be honest, he's another one that lots of the boys are close with him. Lots of the younger fellas that I've played with, and they all say he's a really good dude too. So I think it was just frustrations. But I'm not going to let it slide.
Similar. Neither. Good, man.
See, the thing about Ollie, he's big enough and strong enough to take matters into his own hands.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, because you're like my size, mate. Like you're not an intimidating presence on the field.
Yeah, but I taught that, mate. I can take responsibility for instilling that. Ollie Sail, 15-year-old at Auckland City, mate. Yeah,
I can't do it, but you're a big frame. You can do it.
I'm such an agitative character that this comes off the back of it, mate. That's what happens.
Right. Hey, Ollie, you would have played with like so many good people over the course of your club and international career, no question. But one of the guys...
Thank you.
Not you. You're two goalkeepers. You would never have played at the same time.
Oh, he got the chance to embrace and to, bask in the glow. Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is
somebody...
Any opportunity you take to talk yourself up, you've got to take because nobody else is going to do it for you. The point I was trying to make is you actually played with Nathan Cleary, and he could have been the next big thing for the All Whites.
Talk us through this, mate, because you mentioned this recently.
I never officially played football with Nathan, but grew up with him through... Obviously, Ivan was coaching the Warriors at the time, and Nathan was going to school at Sacred Heart. And just family friends I'm not sure how the relationship came about, but we used to spend
They
all
were
our
probably
summers.
jib contractors, mate. That's
Yeah,
probably where you got your jib board from.
exactly. That we used to spend all our summers up at Waipu Cove, north of Auckland, and the Clearys had a place up there too, and they were neighbouring sections. So yeah, we spent every summer up there growing up, had Christmases all together, and yeah, I used to babysit Nathan. Oh, Nathan's only a couple of years younger than me, but I used to babysit his younger siblings, and yeah, they're just a beautiful family, mate. And the thing about Nathan is yeah, he was a very, very talented footballer from all accounts. I've heard a few people say that at Sacred Heart, and probably could have made a good crack at making a career out of it. Um, but he was just silently chipped away at the at his footy, and he just turned into this animal, mate. I remember not coming home to New Zealand for a couple of summers because obviously the A League plays through the summers, and came back one year, and the guy had just put on about 20 kilos of muscle mass, and he was just a beast. Like we were up in the summer, and we used to always train hard, even before pro sports. Even my brothers that don't play pro sports, throughout the summers, we used to run in the mornings, and we had that rowing erg in the shed up at the beach, and yeah, had like a gym set up and all that sort of stuff, and we used to smash workouts. And this guy was working out 3-4 times a day, and this was before he'd really achieved anything in the game. He was playing. I don't even know if he'd played his rookie season at Penrith in the Toyota Cup. And he was just an animal, mate. The next time I came back, he was just huge. He was shredded. He was so fit. And the other family we had up there that was on the other neighbouring section was the Prices.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, so they were in the same boat. So we used to all train together throughout the summer. And
You with your shirt on.
yeah, 100%, man. I wasn't standing next to those. Even the Price girls would just murder me in the gym and on the running pitch. So yeah, they were just incredible athletes.
It's good to know where your humbleness comes from, Ollie.
Yeah.
You just keep you grounded all the
Look,
time.
I was there at every
Jesus.
training session and putting in my best, but I was also the last to leave the drinks the night before. So I was struggling big time.
Good man. Good man.
So just to round it out, where's Nathan playing his football if he does kick on, mate? Is he a centre forward? Is he a winger? Is he a midfield beast?
With his build, I'd have to say he's going to be playing at, I don't know, one of those bustling fullback positions. He's like a Tim Payne. He's got a similar build to Payne. If Payne hit the football program, hit the NRL program, then he would be probably the same build. But yeah, I'd say he'd be like a combative fullback.
So Nathan Cleary, obviously, an Aussie that could well have qualified for New Zealand. You've got an Aussie passport, though. How does that come about?
Yeah, so mum's side is all Australian. Pip's a through and through Aussie, and all her family's Australian side. Tassie, actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So you got to check her for webbed toes next time you see her. That's why she's, like you said, mate, she's so straightforward and so feisty.
I'm going through the jib board at this rate, mate.
Because she's got two heads. She was born with two heads. So, no, yeah, she's where I get the Aussie from. And actually, not many people know this, but I actually very nearly played for Australia. You know, Spoons, because we had conversations about it. But during COVID, when I was kind of doing really well, I'd been a part of the All White setup for a long time, but never been capped. And Graham Arnold called me prior to their games against Saudi and Japan, their World Cup qualifiers, and said that he wanted to play me in those games. And yeah, and he wanted me to be a part of their World Cup squad, really. But yeah, I'd already spent a long time in the New Zealand setup, and I was really excited by how our young group was going and how we were tracking, and I was really enjoying my time playing being a part of Danny's group, even though I hadn't played at the time yet. I'd been a part of it, and I didn't want to step away from that. So yeah, playing for New Zealand was always that group. That group's a very, very special group, and I didn't want to turn down that opportunity.
Must have been flattering, though, when you've received a call from Arnold and we want you to play for us.
I know. It was looking back on it, it was very special and very, very lucky. Obviously, they had great success at that World Cup, and I've got a couple of great mates in that squad too. But the funny thing about that call from Graham was we'd just played an A-League record 8 games in 20-something days. It was on the back of all those COVID reschedulings.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd had a brilliant
Nasty.
run and done very well. And we'd just drawn with Sydney away in the 8th game in 20-something days. And we'd been on a fantastic run. And I think we'd got up to like 3rd in the league or something. And Alfie very generously gave us 4 days off. And so we'd had a big couple of days in the suburbs of Sydney, down at Manly. And we were at least 2.5 days into a pretty big push, and I get a call from an unknown number, and it was Graham Arnold.
Oh, wow.
And
What time in the morning is he calling you?
It was about 6 o'clock, and I was at Manly Wharf Bar watching the sunset with a few schooners, and the number, I didn't know the number, and I don't know why I answered it, but I answered it, and it was Graham Arnold, and I just had to politely say, listen, mate, this is fantastic, and I'm very, very flattered and appreciate your call. But do you mind if I call you back in a couple of days? Yeah. I'm not sure how much I'm going to get across here.
I am in the middle of an absolute bender.
Yeah. So,
how was that
so
received
funny,
by Graham? Yeah.
He just said,
I reckon that would have
mate,
resonated, mate.
He
loved the
just
honesty.
said, enjoy yourself. He said, you deserve it. You boys have been flying and you're playing really well. And he said, give me a call back in a couple of days. And then when I called him back in a couple of days, we didn't even chat footy. He just wanted to ask me about my nights out in Sydney after that.
Yeah, where did you wind up?
It was that Aussie DNA that he was always on about, Ollie.
Exactly.
Hey, coming back to your chosen country, New Zealand, we've got the World Cup qualifiers coming up, mate. You've been involved now over the course of this arc under Danny, so going so close against Costa Rica, which was incredibly frustrating, mate. You've now got the chance to qualify. It's an exciting young group. What's the thing that you would say to the Kiwi audience to describe what is exciting about it? Why it is intriguing, mate?
Well, obviously, the first thing that pops to mind is the youth. The age of some of these boys and what they've already achieved in some fantastic leagues around the world, and the clubs that they're getting recognised and signed for is fantastic, and that's the first thing that stands out. But then I guess the second thing that, I don't want to speak out of turn and say that we've got a better group than previous groups, but the depth of our squad is fantastic in every position. Is something that probably stands out to me, at least in my time following the All Whites and watching the All Whites. It's probably hard to say that we don't have more depth than we ever had, pretty much right across the board. And that's something that obviously the staff and New Zealand football have been working towards for a long time. And the amount of talent that we have in one squad, and that we're going to have for a long time to come because of the ages of the boys. It's very, very, very exciting.
I like how he wasn't disrespectful about previous generations. Well done, Ollie.
But the depth of the keeping position as well, Ollie. Yourself, AP, Max, Nick, Henry.
Case Sims, Albie's just come into the fold as well.
It's becoming like a ridiculous logjam. And so with the qualifiers this month and obviously the World Cup on the horizon, it must be kind of, I don't know, how does it feel to think that your position in the squad is not guaranteed? You're going to have to work your ass off to make a World Cup next year.
It's perfect, mate. It's exactly how it should be. And to be honest, for me, for someone that's in my current position with my club and the way things are going here, it's exactly what I need. Because, you're always, when you're struggling for form as a team and not winning games and all of those sorts of things, you're looking for every piece of motivation you can get. You're looking for everything to keep you going. And, the next day when you're hitting the gym on your own or whatever it is, the extras you're doing at training, all you're thinking about is, I have to make that squad. And it's not guaranteed. So that's exactly how a squad should be made up. And that's why I touched on the depth being so important, because that's going to carry us into some really, really strong positions come next year. Lads, I'm going to have to wrap up because the boys have all just walked out of the lounge, so we're obviously boarding.
No, you're all good, mate. We don't want to make you miss that flight.
30 seconds, or are you
Yes,
go now?
yeah, I can make that work.
Let's go.
And here's your starting 11.
quick fire answers, mate. Quick fire only.
Quick
Gotcha.
fire, absolutely. I'll just get to the questions. Worst ground you've had to travel to, Ollie?
Oh, I hate playing at MacArthur. It's not the worst ground. I just hate playing at MacArthur. There's no atmosphere. It's dead.
Pre-match meal?
Oh, you wouldn't believe this, but in the morning it has to be pancakes, protein pancakes.
Nice.
Boxy as well. All White's roommate?
Painty.
Lovely. Golf handicap?
5, somewhere between 3 and 5.
What's the place that you visited during your career that you want to go back to after you finish playing?
Oh, I loved Morocco when we went away with Auckland City.
Yes.
Favorite place I've ever been, probably.
Great shout, mate. What was your first club?
Century United.
Big ups. Favorite non-footballing athlete?
Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali.
Beautiful. The movie that you want to go back and watch for the first time?
Top Gun, the first one.
Oh, shirts off.
Yeah, sweaty scene.
The team,
Love it.
the team you supported growing up?
Manchester United.
Lovely.
Reminiscent of Oli Sail and Nathan Cleary back in those days.
Exactly.
Same rigs.
Worst injury?
Probably my back because it's just ongoing.
And your coffee order?
Oh, it changes all the time. I drink so many. I have 4 or 5 a day, so it depends on the time of day. But my favourite would be probably an oat flat white.
Variety is the spice of life.
It's
Ollie.
the Max
Exactly.
Mutter special. Ollie, brilliant to catch up, mate.
And here's your starting 11.
Thanks so much for making time for us at the airport. See you possibly later in the month.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Would love to. Thanks for having me, legends. Good to see you as always.